Okay, it is now recording and I'm here with Melinda. So we are going to go over the HUD 811 Project Rental Assistance webpage updates. And this is our one-on-one training. Kind of went over a lot of this before, but we can review it at the end if you want to. But the whole mobile friendliness, mobile first, and ADA are two primary things that we need to make sure we understand going forward, and then also updating the page. So as we look at the homepage, Oregon Housing and Community Services homepage, this has a mobile first viewpoint. All the images, we'll call them categories or buckets, respond to the size of the screen. Every link on here has ADA meta tags on it. It's a link with a meta tag with it. So we're going to go over those. Those are required by law, Oregon law now going forward. And so to get to the area where Melinda will be updating, it will be the under housing compliance. Now, this dashboard, we call this a dashboard. Every category has its own dashboard. So the tasks on the home page here, these are considered top tasks. That is everything on the home page where there's a link are top tasks within these categories. Doesn't mean that those are the only links in that category, but these are top so that people can get to them more quickly. The other way that people with the mobile first features is that everything is searchable. So if for some reason somebody can't find HUD 811, this search bar now just searches our website. Before it was the state of Oregon. So if I put in HUD 811, it is the first one, and it comes up with directly that link. So that's the page. And on the HUD 811, it carries the navigation. So I'm going to back up one step and go back to the home page for a minute.
Okay.
And so this housing, even though this is a task, it will take you straight to the page. But if for some reason you ended up here in the housing compliance, and then you go to under HUD housing, you're the first one there. And that dashboard, this dashboard is carried through to the page level on the left side. So everything under portfolio administration is here. Everything under program compliance are the programs. Everything, we have a new one. Rent increase is a brand new thing. We decided that that was its own category with its own individual paths that it will include. Asset management goes there. Housing preservation for owners is there. HUD housing compliance is there. So your HUD 811 is underneath there. So if you're on another page under compliance monitoring, you can always get back to your main page by going to the HUD housing compliance. Okay. So just a little intro there. Your page is using the template-based SharePoint page structure. I'm going to show you what things look like if I went to edit the page in this view. Let me get into authoring. So when we're done training, I will send you your permissions and link. You will use your same password that you had before, which starts with OR. It's like your login and OR, and then your email prefix. And then your password starts with dasher, and then your ID, organ ID. So if you don't have that information and can't remember it, just let me know. I can help you with that.
Okay.
And so this will be your new authoring link, and I'll send that to you when you get your permission set up. But you'll know you're an authoring when you see that you have this here, that prefix. So once you're in authoring, you're going to see your controls over to the top right corner. They used to be over the left corner when you were in the previous SharePoint authoring site. And so everything is that you would need to do to make changes to a web page or behind the scenes when we work with web parts, you will access from this widget, is what I call it. So you click the widget and you would click edit page. But you're not going to be editing your pages much from this way going forward. Your page takes up the same space template on a template that other pages do. I'm using the 3/4 section here and the 1/4 section here for contact. So you have a small photo that will resize for a mobile device. Everything is sizable down to a cell phone. So basically we have an introduction to your HUD 811. And I think you gave me the latest information on the number of subsidized units. I'm not sure if that needs to be updated still. I think I made that change. I remember you told me. Does it still need to be updated?
No, that's perfect.
Okay. And then as far as your forms or any of the tools and property or partner resources, they are included in a table on the back end. So that's where you'll make those changes on the back side. This is a web part, and I'll show you where the web part is, but essentially you make your change in the web part, and once you save it, it's automatically published. So no more having to do submit, approve, publish. Once you make a change on the back side and you save it, it's published. Unless you need to get into the edit, like if you needed to update the number of units, then you would do the widget edit page, come down to where you need to make the change. Is your title correct?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a program analyst now, I think?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then once you make the change or whatever, you would just go to publish and publish, and that's it. Now, before I do that, I'm just going to point out, notice that these two blocks up here are white versus these gray ones.
I do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a bug in the authoring site where it just thinks that you have something here. So you do need to check them to make sure that there's no code behind the scenes. Sometimes it just fills it in. And so when I click here with my mouse and I go to edit source, that little code, if I don't take it out, will create a gap. So all I did was select it or highlight it and click delete. And I want to do the same thing for here, edit source. There's nothing there, great. I do that at like the last thing that I do before I publish. If I didn't, I'll show you where you would tend to see a gap. Sometimes, depending on how much code SharePoint wants to put in it, it will create a white space between this line and the first paragraph, and it just looks funny. So
Okay.
if it happens, that's how you fix it. You just go to the widget, down to edit page. It automatically creates this thing. Sometimes it adds code, sometimes it doesn't. It did. So all we need to do is just highlight it, click OK, and then right away publish it. It's a bug, and they haven't fixed it in the 6 months I've been working on it. So, okay. So that's the page level. You don't edit any of the left navigation. You can edit your contact, and you can edit this paragraph, these paragraphs up here. They've been edited somewhat for plain language. So those are good. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the back side. You have a simple page, which you're lucky. Someone like Susan Bailey has all those NOFAs and all those program pages. She basically has to edit a lot of areas. So anyway, so we're gonna go behind the scenes, and we go to the widget, and we go to site content instead of edit page. Okay, so you share the back end with compliance, asset management, the HUD, Section 8, project-based, and you each have your own areas that you need to work on. So first off, if you remember before on the old site, when you would have a PDF, usually you're basically adding links for resources and linking those words or terms to a PDF. But you still do that. You would still get your PDFs together, and you would still upload them to a documents folder. So HUD 811 has its own folder. You would get to that folder, and a couple of things that I want to point out with these files. So what I really, so new naming structure going forward will not include spaces and should not include underlines or underscores. We want to just stay with dashes. And I'm going to bring up, okay. So to carry some further consistency, each of these files is kind of carrying a common structure. And it's just to allow for search engines and browsers and partners, when they download the files, to know what type of file it is. It's named for them in a way that will help them know what type of document it is. So what I tried to do when I'm focused on each of the program areas is to, if it's a technical advisory, I started off with the date. If it's other kind of documents, I just kind of name it as best as I can without a lot of words, like tos and these and small little types of words are not needed. It's the main keywords of a file that are needed. So affirmative dash furthering dash fair dash housing dart dash marketing plan Oregon. These are the types of words or phrases that Google will rank us high on those words. And it identifies us quickly to people going on Google. Most times, 95% of the time, if people don't know where to find things on a website, they'll just go to Google and type in these words. 811, if they know the acronym, PRA Environmental Review Sample, or fact sheet. HUD 811 fact sheet. HUD 811 model, model rental lease, owner application. These words are very important in a file name. So this contributes to ADA, and then another piece that I'll show you soon. So first of all, it's consistency in naming, use dashes, no spaces, no underlines between words. Second thing, keep your files in a naming consistent way. You can follow the way that I've done it, or you can use a way that you're most comfortable with. But don't add things like at the end of a file that's like revised 10/16/2019 or edited final with somebody's initials at the end of the file. Or, you know, many times we get files from people that they don't know how things are labeled on the website. So it's important for you to just go ahead and make the change on your drive, however it can be, that's consistent with how you've got things on your website. Make it on your drive first, clean it up, don't have revise, all that kind of stuff, because those things should be on the document itself. You know, if you have a revised document, it should be on the document so that when you click on the document, you look at the footer, you know that's the one that should be on the website. Don't use the name of the file, especially on a website, as knowing whether that's the right file. Because what's happened in the past is that we've had, and it would be all over the website. I mean, we had over 5,000 files. And just for one little area, there would be like 5 or 6 of the same document with revised 1 month, revised another month. And so they would just accumulate, and then they would just sit there for years. So what I want people to do before they even put it on the website document folder is get it nice and cleaned up before you get it ready to put over there. And then all you have to do is drag and drop. No more, you can go through upload and go through those steps and find it on your network drive, but you don't all, with this new version of SharePoint, you can just drag and drop. So now I'm going to just go ahead and delete this one. Notice that when I click on this file, I get, not on this file. Sorry, let me go back. When I click on, let's see, let me go down to it. Oh, it must have backed up and it took it away. So it's no longer there.
I see that. Interesting.
Sometimes when you use your back button, it goes, it thinks you want to go back. So like undo. So It's not there, but it was. It just, it undo the drag and drop. Let me see if it's there when I, yeah, oh, so replace it. So where did it go? That was interesting. Anyway,
There it is.
okay.
Oh, did you drag and drop that one?
Yeah, and I replaced it. I guess it thought it was here, but I didn't see it. So I'm going to show you how to delete old files. So this is one that we dragged and dropped, but say that it was, you know, back to 2019 and you need to replace it with a 2020. So, and this, you can either use these 3 dots, which will take you to another dot, and then you delete, or you can use this little icon here, edit, and then you delete it here. So that's how you get rid of old files on this new system.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So let's say it goes from a 2019 to a 2020 form. Can I just name it the exact same? And when I drag and drop, it asks me to replace?
Yes, that would be perfect.
That's how I usually do it.
Okay, good. Yeah, you're a little bit more advanced than some others that I'm training, so you've been working in longer. So anyway, but I wanted to spell out a little bit on that. So you still upload it to the documents folder. And once you're done uploading them, dragging and dropping, now you're ready to go to that web part now. You don't need to go to the page. To edit the page, you're going to go and update that table. It's actually pulling it from a table to make this accordion. So let's go to your page on the live site. And this accordion is actually one web part. And it could be 2, but I just know it's just one. One web part that has 3 rows to it. And it's in the order that I want it. I have notices as order 1, number 1, owners and property managers, number 2 and 3. And each of these labels, notices is a title. The drop down is a description. So the second one, this is the title. And inside this box is the description. And this information is in the description of that table. So we're going to go to the table. So to get back to the tables and the web parts, we go up to this widget and we go to site contents. So we were just at documents right here, and HUD 811, all your information is in this yellow tabled icon. You just click it. Okay. So if I wanted to sort these by order, you can click the top area here of each column, and it would put it in order of 1, 2, 3. So this key is the filter code. It's a key. All it means is that that's the way I'm filtering this table. I put it in an order of 1, 2, and 3. I mentioned before the title. These are the titles of those accordions, labels. The description for each of these is in this column, and the edit button for each individual row is this button here. So if we wanted to go and add another notice, we would click that edit button. So the order's there. If you wanted to change the order and make it number 5 and you had another reason to put something else as a number 1, you can reorder it this way. The key has to be HUD 811. That's the way it's filtered for that table. The title, you could say notices and technical advisories, whichever works for you. I gave it notices, but it is considered a technical advisory. And then this little area becomes like a mini web page that you used to edit on the old site. You just have the text and links to worry about now. So if I was going to link something like these words right here, I would just, first of all, if you were going to add one, you might say, give it a new line and technical advisory. HUD 811. Oops. And I don't know, whoops. New process, something like that. Okay. So just like before on a web page, you would type out what the link's supposed to say. Then you highlight it. Then you go up to insert, just like you did before. Then link from SharePoint. Okay. So you may drop into somebody else's information. All you need to do is scroll to your mini site. The mini site that HUD 811 is under housing compliance and monitoring. So you're under the housing compliance one. All of these are mini sites for different people, web publishers to maintain. Your mini site is under housing compliance and monitoring. So you would click that little arrow. You go to your documents folder, which is right there, and you click that. Then in the middle here, you're going to see your folder, HUD 811. You click that. And you'll just find your document just like you normally would. You'll just pick one, and as long as it shows up here correctly, then you insert it. So there's 2 things that you need to know about that are important when you apply a link to where your links are supposed to be going forward. One is to create that link from SharePoint, which is first step. Second step is what's the new law with Oregon. So after you apply that link and you connect it to that file in documents, the next step that you have to do is you click that link, right? And you're going to go up to link tab, the tab link. And you can add the icon and add the open a new tab. But you must also do the description. And this is the new law. It's not a new law. It's actually been around for a while. We just haven't been doing it because we're waiting for our new website. But now it's critical because state of California just in 2019 had over 11,500 lawsuits just from the ADA on government website issues. So, and it's very simple. You can copy this exact link wording, copy and paste, or copy. And when you click the link and do the open a new tab in display icon, all you need to do is click in that description, and you need to start it out with PDF. Give it a colon, and then paste. The reason that you started out with a PDF is because for people that see things, they can see this icon. We've displayed it for people that can see. For people that are blind, they use computer screen readers. They can't see this icon. So when they come to links, they don't know necessarily that it's a PDF or a Word file or an Excel file or a link to another web page, unless you tell that that screen reader is actually talking to that person as they go through each line of a web page. So when they start up here, they'll say a PDF file. Technical advice, it's like reading to that person. So as they come to each link, it's telling that person that to start off, this link is a PDF file. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Completely.
So then once you save, it's published. You don't need to go to a page and submit, approve, publish. It's done. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this line because we don't need it on the web page. I'm going to save, and it's published. Now, say that you had a new category like forms or guides or manuals. None of these have anything really to do with, well, it could with tenants and providers, service providers. You might have a manual, but maybe you wanted a new category or a new title tab. Let's see, new label for manuals. You wanted it to go between owners and for tenants, okay? You wanted it to be number 3, and you're gonna make this number 4. So you could go ahead and change this to number 4. Go down and save it, okay? And now you're gonna do a new item. You wanna make this one number 3. You need to keep the key, so you remember what your key is, your filter key, HUD 811. And then you give it its new, yeah, some of these are just sort of in my cached memory from previous things that I've worked on, but say you've got manuals and forms, and then you just go ahead and you form 1, form 2, manual 1, manual 2, and then you go and if you were here and you hadn't uploaded your documents, you could go ahead and leave them without links and save. And then go to your documents, upload your documents. Once those are done, then you come back here again on the widget, you go to site contents, look for your HUD 811 table with that yellow icon. You'll drop to here. All you would do is then hit that edit button and then apply your links like you normally would with the old web page, SharePoint, that whole deal. And then the last step that you would do is do that ADA requirement. So you would apply that icon, open it up in a new tab, copy that phrase, whatever the name of that form, put it in that link description, and then you can save.
Do we have a key to let us know, like if it's an Excel spreadsheet, do we write out Excel or do we write out Excel spreadsheet? So PDF I get because pretty easy.
keep it simple. So instead of PDF, I would say Excel file, colon, and then the name. Like for this one here, application, let's see what I said. I click on that one and I go up to link. I put Excel file and then the name of the thing here. So,
Okay.
So just a little test. How would I go about deleting that number 3 one, would you think?
I would assume you would go to the edit. And delete item.
Right. Okay. Now what we just learned is what everybody else is learning, how to update their table. So whoever's the new person in, James went to your group or Angela's group. Is he a manager now? James Hackett?
Yeah, he's Angela's manager.
Okay.
And he'll have 2 compliance managers.
Okay. So Matthew Perry is filling in, and they need to tell me who their new person will be. How long are you going to be in your position? Is it going to be for like another year or so too?
Should be through the end of December 2021.
Oh, good. So I still need to train somebody, but it seems like their pages don't get updated that frequently. So we'll see what they want to do with that. But anyway, they have their own table. Compliance has their own table. Everybody's responsible for their own stuff. So basically it's documents and your HUD 811. Those are the 2 areas you would be working with. And pages for your mini site, for the housing compliance mini site, where's pages?
Second column.
Oh, here. So you only site pages is the only pages that are in this mini site. You don't have to see all 500 or scroll through all 500 to see those. They're now just mini site pages. So, but you wouldn't need to go there and change anything because you try not to make any changes to the file names for pages because Google has already spidered them now, and you've already witnessed that when we go to search, it's number 1. It's like it is now ranked and it's number 1. So if you change page names at that level, it's not a good thing. So
then would I check the OHCS broken links report?
So that's a good question. This is a new thing. Normally I would get a monthly report of things, but I don't understand. Oh, I think it's because some of these places are, and I'll go through that before I work with, but I don't think it's accurate because these are pointing to the old staging thing. So I need to go to, and I can edit it right here. That's cool. I'm learning about this because it's brand new. And all I need to do is replace it with that, with our new. So when they did the conversion, it brought over the old staging. I should not have to do this but I will now that I know that it's fairly simple. So I would just probably go like this. Copy, paste. So I'll just go and do that for some of these because this is the old stage and it should be remembering the new staging. It doesn't make sense to me that. And then this shouldn't be this way. See these little code things? That's why you don't use spaces or dashes because it ends, the browser will put in these spaces and stuff. So, and I know I didn't use spaces on any of my file names. So in a way, I don't trust this, but I do need to find out what I need to do to get these, so it's not reporting as a broken link, because all of these are the old staging. So anyway, before I make any more changes, I need to double check with them that that's what I have to go through and fix, because it should have carried over from the old staging. When I was building the site, they gave us a brand new link for going forward after June 30th for our authoring versus, we had a staging environment to build it. Now we have just an authoring versus a published site. So I need to figure out that broken links, but I don't think you guys, let's see if compliance, if you see any HUD 811,
I know I tested all my sites
yeah,
when they went live.
yeah, okay. So yeah, I think I'm not sure like this. So I'll check with them, but you're reminding me to do it. So I need to just send them a quick question and say, hey, why do I have a lot of broken links when I don't think that they're really broken? So
I do have one more question.
sure.
I recall in the last training Zoom meeting that we had,
Yeah.
you mentioned that maybe I'm assuming this is just for new pages, that it has to be reviewed before published. Is it
So
for
new pages, when you need a new page, yes, it needs to be reviewed, because what's going to happen when you add a new page is that it just shows up as a link down here. You'll create a page and you won't know necessarily at that point how to add these features just yet. So I don't want to overload people with that additional learning curve right now, because you would need to create another view. It's like a phase 2 of training.
Okay. Yeah, I don't plan on making new pages.
Yeah.
I was just curious as to what would require a review. What kind of items would require a review before I publish?
So what we'll have, we're still building the governance team, and there will be one that's going to start up in September, and it will include members of publishers, web publishers, and managers, and most likely the new person that's our equity person. Can't think of her name right now, but Kenny wanted her on the committee. Anyway, so I'm building the whole architecture diagram. And as we add new pages, we need to add those to that overall diagram, so we always know what's on our architecture and where it fits in the scheme of things. It also affects our dashboards and our navigation. So that navigation, we would need to determine where that new page falls under. If it's under HUD 811, or if it doesn't need to be a link here. There's just a lot of sort of more thought that goes into adding a new page. So whether it needs to be on the navigation, some things don't need to be on the navigation. They just need to have a link from this page to that new page. Maybe it's a policy. It could warrant that the fact that it needs to be a HUD 811 policy underneath the, you know, there's just some things that have to be thought through. We would want to make sure that the name of the page is consistent with other page names on that mini site. So when there's a need for a new page, we'll have a form on our intranet that needs to be filled out. A new page, what the page is for, who the audience is for, what needs to be on that page. Like, is it just links to manuals? What's the purpose of the page? So it just is it's a little bit more oversight going forward so that we don't end up with 5,000 pages again. And we understand that where it needs to fall within the scheme of the rest of the pages of this mini site. If there's a need to have a mini site just for a program, that might be something that we need to sort of think about, because if there's going to be a lot of pages, like, you know, a lot of different areas that needs their own pages and their own documents, then we would probably create a mini site for it. So everything sort of works together and has to be thought through architecture wise a little bit more than what we're used to in the past. In the past, everything was on the left nav and nobody could find anything because it was all just a big mixed bag of stuff. So this now going forward is much more in sort of areas, rooms in a big building. And what goes in those rooms has to be thought through a little bit more.
Sounds good.
I hope that makes sense. But
it does. It completely makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I can't think of any other areas that you might need to touch. But let me know if you have questions. I'm going to have a couple of weeks where I'll do an open forum Q&A for people who they can't remember something. And then I'm going to take off for the month of August, just to get some rest and recuperate, and then be back, and I'll kind of put together some sort of training tutorials. It'll be an iLearn for new publishers so that I don't have to drop everything and train, and then they can just take that and get certified, sort of thing. But yeah, so that's about it, I guess.
Okay. I'll be studying the plain language.
Okay.
That's my goal.
Okay. Great.
I don't think I need any updates on my webpage for now. I might scan through it just to see if things need to be improved. But that'll be from time to time. I really want to understand this plain language. Yeah.
It's a new thing, and it's something that people kind of think that, oh, we don't have to do it. We don't really need to do it. Well, to a certain degree, you should. Because a lot of our state government documents are very hard to read, and they're just written with long paragraphs, and it's just like, do I have to read this? And if it was just easier to read just for and that Hemingway app, I hope that IT can figure out a way to get that purchased for our agency. Liana is needing certain credentials for it, and it just makes, there's other tools like Word, but Word doesn't give a grade level. You know, a lot of our documents are at the graduate level. And, you know, for some of the programs like housing development and architectural, you know, those kinds of things, those are high grade level, and that makes sense for that partner. But if it's a tenant that needs to figure out how to fill out an application form, or they need to just understand how the program works, or whether they're interested in even getting involved with a certain program that they might be eligible for, they can't be reading things that are above their grade level of 8th or 9th grade. So that's really what we're after. We're just at that public, that citizen of Oregon level that needs to understand what we do. So
yeah, well, on the population that I serve, this would only benefit them.
Yep.
Might minimize phone calls as well. So.
All right. Well, I will let you go. Enjoy your afternoon, and feel free to ask questions or join us on a Friday morning.
I'll be joining for sure.
Yeah. The more you do it, the easier. It just really clicks better. So.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll send this recording to you soon.
Okay, sounds great.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.